loads of tips because
Go
you're
on.
always like,
So,
some people don't eat 7 fruit and veg a week. She was giving us a lecture the other day. I was like, oh really?
Okay, so we've got Aoife, Lauren, and Stacey with us now, and I want to kind of start, guys, with a kind of a broad overview of where the sport is positioned now, if you don't mind. And Lauren, I'm going to put you on the spot straight away on this task because there's been fantastic. There's been much increased promotion around women's rugby in recent years. Thankfully, sponsors like Aldi have come on board as well. So people watching in maybe for the first time in recent competitions might be forgiven for assuming that the women's rugby 15s is all professional.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the growth of women's rugby in particular has been massive over the last few years. And I think tournaments like the Six Nations, which we're in the middle of at the minute, has definitely helped to promote the game and promote rugby in grassroots sports as well, and I suppose develop the profile of women's rugby as a whole. But I definitely think it's growing from strength to strength. There's only a few teams around the world who are professional at the minute, but I suppose that's professional with a big P. In terms of the Irish team, we talk about professional with a small p. In terms of everything we do day to day, we definitely try and bring that professionalism to our game as much as possible.
And let's discuss it with the other guys as well, Aoife and Stacey. I mean, Wales and up against Wales, that's obviously amateur versus amateurs. That seems keenly matched. So France obviously is going to be a different prospect, or do you approach it in a different way?
We know, like, heading into France this weekend, it's definitely going to be a tougher task. They're a much more physical side, and I suppose they have a lot more time together, so they'll be really well drilled. In terms of our approach, we very much focused on ourselves heading into Wales and getting our processes right, and that won't change a huge amount for France. Yeah, we'll analyse them and we'll change tactics here and there to try and counteract some of their threats, but we'll still mainly focus on ourselves and our roles and doing what we need to do well to hopefully put ourselves in the best position to come away with a win.
And that's kind of the story of this women's rugby team, isn't it? The national team. That some of you are professional. I know, Lauren, you're actually a performance nutritionist, so you're fully in full time in that rugby world. But there are multiple careers going on across the squad, aren't there?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a performance nutritionist, but I'm actually a full-time PhD student. So I'm only doing 2 days a week as a performance nutritionist, as well as some private work. And you'd almost cast the rugby as a part-time job as well. But yeah, we've a huge range of careers and different roles in the team outside of rugby, from teachers to farmers, to nurses and as the likes of Aoife and everyone in between, which I think brings a great dynamic to the squad. We've got players of all age groups, and a lot of coming from different perspectives in their lives, and have joined rugby at different ages and different ranges. So I think it brings a great dynamic to the squad.
Aoife, tell us what you do outside of your rugby. I know it was described as part-time there, but I mean, it really is full on, isn't it? But what do you do outside of the rugby world?
Yeah, I'm a clinical research nurse in Monday to Friday, so that keeps me quite busy. And as Lauren says, yeah, every kind of evening and weekend then is full of rugby and stuff. So it can be challenging balancing both, but like we wouldn't change it for the world.
And I mean, you're selling yourself short there, because you've worked in the Laura Lynn Foundation, you were in the UCD research, and now you're at the Heartbeat Trust. So, which has great connotations, obviously, because of the intensity of sport and those kind of heart-stopping moments that we often have.
Yeah, I'm very lucky. I've had some great employers over the years who've always kind of supported the rugby journey, and currently in Dunleary with the Heartbeat Trust. So it's my main role is kind of around heart failure prevention. So we run some screening services around that, and then also some clinical trials with new drugs and stuff like that to hopefully prevent people from developing heart failure or further heart attacks and strokes and stuff like that. So it's lovely work. It's very enjoyable, and I meet great people, and a lot of my patients who have come onto the clinical trials and stuff are now very avid women's rugby fans. So it's great.
Okay, yeah. It's a perfect merger. And of course, proud Sligo woman.
Definitely, yes, for sure.
That's like a separate career again, isn't it?
Exactly.
Requires dedication. Yeah.
And again, very loyal rugby supporters this time of year. I'm from a tiny little village in rural Sligo, and it's big GA place, and but no matter when the Six Nations rolls around, they get the flags out and the well wishes come in for the rugby, and they all tune in and stuff. So it's great. I do definitely have a lot of support from back home, which is great.
You even have a mural, don't you, on the wall up there?
I do.
It's a serious mural. It's a serious.
Yeah, amazing. And I still can't believe that it's there and that it's lasted. It was part of the Six Nations campaign last year to there was one mural put in every province from one of our teammates. So Anna Capus got one in Mallow, Laura Feely and Larissa Muldoon have one in Donegal, and Nicola Friday has one in Offaly. So I was the lucky Connacht girl to get one, and it's lovely. Yeah, it still blows me away that it's there, and I'm very
it's lovely
proud.
because sometimes you see really, really dodgy murals, but that's actually a good one.
Yeah.
Great, Lauren, I want to come back to you because you described there the performance nutritionist, and that's obviously very important in a training camp. I mean, are you kind of a nightmare? Are you like the snack inspector if there's an unauthorized snack has snuck into the training bubble?
No, not at all. Not at all. I'm normally an encourager. No, I'm joking. No, I very much try and separate kind of my professional nutrition role with my kind of within the rugby environment. We have a performance nutritionist with the IRFU, and Marcus Shortall. So he kind of gives all the advice to the girls, and I suppose for me, I just almost reiterate any of his points. I suppose there is always loads of conversations about food and about nutrition and about strategies over the dinner table. So I do get brought into some of those conversations, but I think as a nutritionist in particular, I definitely avoid trying to be the food police. And I'm very much promoting just a complete balance. And I suppose I don't really know what all the girls' situations are, whether what their strategies are. So I just kind of answer any questions or refer on to our nutritionist where needed.
You give us loads of tips because you're always like, some people don't eat 7 fruit and veg a week. She was giving us a lecture the other day. I was like, oh really?
So did you say you're kind of an advocate of 7 fruit and veg a day?
Yeah, so the new recommendations, and in particular in elite athletes in sport, is that we should all be aiming for 7 portions of fruit and vegetables a day, as Stacey knows very well. But I suppose when we're recommending and we're working with athletes and people to increase their fruit and vegetable intake, it's kind of, let's set realistic goals. If you're starting at 1 portion, it's probably unrealistic to expect people to jump all the way to 7 portions. But I suppose for us, we're definitely aiming, aren't we, guys?
Yeah. Every time I eat fruit, I'm like, I wonder if this is enough, or is 2 portions enough? And then I'm like, Lauren said 7, Stacey, you're not 7. And then I'm like, I'm so conscious since you told us like that red meat is so important. I knew it was important, but I was like really gone off it the last few because I was like, Lauren told me I have to eat it at least twice a week.
That's a tradition. So you get Cocoa Pops the night before.
Yeah. We never get like forwards coaches and everybody comes down for the Cocoa Pops, and like we have 8 hotels out of them in the past, and we were out at the weekend and our manager was asking, is there any chance there'll be a few Cocoa Pops? And they were like, no, sorry, we just don't have any. But they very kindly like went out especially and got us Cocoa Pops for Friday night. So yeah, it's just anything to keep us happy, and we're delighted with a bowl of Cocoa Pops.
Well, I mean, that sounds like the most honourable and prideful task you to have. I'm on a run. Can you imagine getting to the Garda checkpoint and go, what are you doing out? What are you doing outside your 5K or your 20K? Going, I am getting Cocoa Pops for the Irish team. Yes, there's going to be no guard. You're going to get a Garda escort to the nearest. Brilliant. I'm so glad you said that because you think, like, particularly at that level of sport, that surely there are times where you're allowed to just eat whatever you want given the amount of energy that you're burning off. So the balance, that's the important thing.
Everything in moderation.
I would be remiss in my duty, Stacey, if I didn't ask you about you have a big GA family behind you. Is that true?
Oh yeah. My sister used to play for Dublin, and then I played all the way up from under 6. I actually played for Dublin under 10s academy, I think it was.
Wow.
And then played up to under 18s minor, and then I started rugby in school in 6th year maybe, and then ended up making the transfer over instead of going down the good old Dublin GAA pathway. But no, definitely a big rugby background. Big Dublin GAA background from the family. But my mum and dad are actually all rowers, and my other brothers and sisters row as well. So
wow,
another pathway for me to go into when I retire rugby.
just one of those annoying sporting overachiever families. Yeah, we know the type.
Really not. I think we're just, I don't even think that's we're sporty. I think we're just competitive. Like everything we do, we're like, we have to win. Even we used to have a table tennis table out the back garden. We used to like family comps. And the final used to be my mum and dad every year. And I was like, what the hell is going on? Like we should be beating them. They're old.
Coming that amazing background in sport that all three of you have is kind of an open question, because we know one of the biggest obstacles facing women in sport is, particularly because so many girls, when they reach their teenage years, they drop away from sport. But you guys stuck to it. Is there any advice you can give to girls, to mums, to dads out there who are trying to keep girls in sport past that particular age when they tend to drop off?
For me, I think it's about finding a sport that you like, or that like you're interested in, and you can see it going somewhere. And even if it's not like a really high level or whatever, you can see like your friends all the time. Like I feel like if there's a group of friends, like if your mom and dad are friends with their mom and dad, just if everyone pushes them to go and stick at it, just the adventure sport can bring it on, and the places you can see with your friends is just amazing. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
And Lauren, you can take up that point as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Stacey picked up a really good point there in terms of that camaraderie. I think that's why I always loved playing team sports in particular. Not only is it kind of fun and competitive, and you do it with your friends, and it's the social aspect of it, but also I suppose it's that camaraderie side of it. And you're almost being held accountable for going to training and coming to games and everything by your friends. I think that's a massive part of it, and definitely for kind of young girls growing up. For me as well, I think it's really important. And if I look back at my kind of early years of playing basketball as well, for me, I just really enjoyed the training and really enjoying the exercise. And when those odd occasions came when I potentially didn't want to go to a training session, I always came back to my why, and why I played, and why it's important to me. So I think trying to find the kind of positive sides to sport and to exercise, whatever the sport is that you choose, is really important. So on those days when you're maybe not keen, it might be raining outside, or there might be only a few people at training, and you can always think about all the positives that sport can bring.
How good has it been that it's been seen as a standalone competition, and our attention is focused on this and only this since it begun?
Oh, I think it's brilliant. And as you say, like there was all that like worry, would we have a competition there this year, would we not? And we're just so delighted to be out there playing and having that chance to represent Ireland, that we feel very lucky and very privileged. And I suppose, yeah, the bonus now is it's a standalone competition, and it's a lovely way for, the men's Six Nations has just ended, and for people who are, have enjoyed that, they can just roll straight into the women's and pick it up and have more rugby out for the weekends, and another chance to support Ireland and get on that bandwagon. So I think it's brilliant, and we're seeing that from the massive amount of support from the media and from all around the country. It's definitely the best it's ever been, I think.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'd agree that there's way more eyes on this time, and I don't think it's just because it's a standalone tournament. I think it's because people have more time to watch, and people are valuing their time more, and they're like, look, and that they're actually, because it is a standalone tournament, they're getting to see how much work we put in, and they're like, look, the girls, and start off with such a good win last week. They're like, look, the girls are playing good style of rugby, they're doing so well. Hopefully we can build on this now, and we can keep getting good momentum and get more eyes watching, because the more people that are watching, the more people that are actually, it's changing their opinion and being like, geez, the girls are really good. Like, it's like a really good brand of rugby and stuff, and just get the ball rolling and keep going.
What can we do out here, the sofa people watching on, and we'll be tuning in? I mean, what can we do to breach this imbalance that exists between men's and women's sport, not just in rugby, but across the board and across different codes of sport?
I think if people can just support women's sport as much as they can, whether that's watching it on the telly, tweeting about it, posting on Instagram, and then hopefully when the time comes and you can go to sports events again, that you get down and you support your local club, support the Irish women's team, and just be there and cheer us on as much as you would any other sports team. Would be great.
Well, look, thank you very much for your time. The best of luck to you as well. I mean, it doesn't, as I say, it never diminishes the effort. You're out there representing the country, and those of us on the sofas of that nation will stay there and we'll cheer you on. And stay off the Cocoa Pops. 7 a day, 7 a day. Thanks a million, guys.